Hi, everybody. Welcome to our 2025 Advent celebration. We are so excited to be here. Every day we're going to post out a new video to watch. But if you want to craft along with the exact templates and digital papers that are featured in our crafts for the next 24 days, you can grab our Advent celebration pack. You can find the link in the description below. All right, so let's get on to crafting.
We're going to be making a holly wreath from paper today, and it's going to require that you have our template. I just want to note a few things about the template here. You'll notice the holly leaves, and there are score lines down the center. So when you bring in the template, make sure you change those to score lines. You have the 3 berries, the red, and you are going to create an 8-inch circle, and that is going to be a width of 7.75 all the way around, and then you're going to leave about an inch and cut out the center so that you have the backing for your holly wreath. Now, I just want to talk a little bit about this. You are going to cut one out of digital paper and one out of a cereal box or really heavy-duty paper. And we go to put it together. I'll show you what that's all about. Now, this piece is simply for making a stencil. If you want, you can resize it. We are not going to use that, so you can simply hide it. Now, we're going to have to cut this in 2 stages. You need 2 of these. So that will be a mat that comes up, and then you will just cut 2 of them. But I'm going to hide it right now because what you need to do is cut out 7 sets of these. Now you can do it manually here and have 7 on the screen, or simply make a change. So if we go over to make, all we need to do here is up on your project copies, change that to 7. And it will fill out the mat once you click apply. Now, since I'm using 8.5 by 11, I'm going to have to move this little guy down here so that I will get them all on the one sheet. And if I look at mat number 2, you'll see it goes past the 11. I'm just going to bring those down so I have all of them exactly where I want them to be. So that will be out of one of the red digital papers. Now I just want to go back to this one. What you want is the 3 different digital papers that come with this project. There are 3 different greens. There's a plaid, there's a houndstooth, and there's one with dots. What you're going to do is cut out 3 of these. So once this is cut with one sheet, put it back in, cut it on another one, and then the 3rd one. So you'll have 3 different sets of these 3. So there's 21 in each of them. So you'll end up with 63 different holly leaves. For this, you only need to cut this out once because it's 7 parts of the project. All right, once those are cut, we're going to come back here. We're going to open up that circle again. Remember, you're making this circle on your own. And this group, you can just group it and hide it. And what you need to do is make this one. And you want 2 copies of this one. So we'll just push it up to 2 and apply. That will allow you to cut 1 out of a cereal box and 1 out of the digital paper. All right, it's your turn to get everything all cut out, and then I'm going over to the demo table and we are going to put everything together. So as you can see here, I've got everything all cut out, ready to go. These are the digital papers. I cut my circle out. I'm just going to leave those out of the way for now. I have a couple of ways I want to put this together. I've got these little square glue pads. I've got glue. And of course, these are the circle I was talking about. I cut this out of an old box that was a cereal box. Actually, it was a lightly flowered sole box. But what I want to do is I want to leave this part blank like this so it's easy to adhere and get these little items glued on. So I want to glue on, just to hide the writing, the extra little piece that I have cut out that goes right on top of it. For this, I'm simply going to use my glue, and I will glue it from here I'm not being very careful with this, but I do want to line it up. I don't want it to go too far off the mark. There we go. Now the reason I like to have the color on the back, and I'll trim off the edges later, is that I am going to be gluing to this side, but if anybody ever turns it over, they're going to go, oh, it's a fish box. No, you want to have them see the beautiful digital paper that you have. Now what we're doing is we're going to put together a wreath that is similar to this. I'm going to use a different gluing technique with this, and I use this piece of paper just folded over in order for it to hang up. Your other option is you can use some string to make that work for you as well. But right now, I am just going to move those out of the way. Hopefully it doesn't fall on me. Move my scissors out of the way here. So what we want to do is have a nice little layered effect. So what you need to do with your fronds here, you'll notice there's a score line down the middle. I'm just going to move these up a little bit so I can see the three colors. And I have all of my little holly dots here. I'll just put them over here. You have the three different digital papers. We have our circle that we are going to be working with. Now what I like to do is just take sort of one pile and put a few on, another pile, put more on. So I'm going to mix between glue and using these little square pieces. So I'm going to start by just gluing some of the bigger ones on. And what I've done is I've taken that score line and I've bent it. And this just makes it have a more realistic look, so you get this nice bent piece. But what I'm going to do is just glue in this piece like this. And I still get the bent effect coming up. And just have to make sure that they dry before I start moving things around. Same thing, you want to bend all of these. This is a smaller one. I might just put this one down here. You see this one has all of the dots. Let me pick a bigger one here. Making sure that I get all of these folds in place. And it just makes it pop a little more. See, when you first start doing this, just taking from one pile, and it'll take a little while to build it up. See what else we've got in here. We've got another big one. Here's one that looks like this. Just want to make sure we get all of those lines creased. Now, even though they're from the same batch, you can see how they're just a little bit different in different areas just because of the way we designed the digital paper. Tika is an excellent digital paper designer. Just add a couple more in here. As you can see, we're going to start working our way around. And maybe just keep this first layer kind of glued. Now they're all green, so it's just a matter of the way you decide you're going to stack things up. You can see we're starting to get a bit of a pattern now. I'm going to just glue a few more in here. Here's one I can grab. Maybe I'll grab a couple of these. Now don't worry if you can see some of the outer edges right now. You are getting a 3D effect as you work your way through. Now you can see where you're starting to get extra pieces going in here. Now that one's flipping up there. Maybe I can just stick it in here. Now here's where you probably want to use the glue pads. Just going to try a couple of them and just get a bigger effect here. You can see it just moving away from having that flat effect. And I'm just putting one in. Let's see, I've got a couple of those. I got one of those there. I don't have one here. Trying not to double up on the pattern pieces. This will take just a little while to get all of the pieces and parts in there, but just throw some in there. They don't all need to go in the same direction. For example, I just put one there, but then I can put one on top going in a different direction. And these little sticky pads really make the difference. Now you can use the glue, do the same thing. You don't have to use these squares. And I know it looks like we have a lot, but once you get going on all of this, you'll see that you have some nice patterns in the making. The goal, of course, is to hide where all of the little brown pieces are. So let's grab another one of these and get it off. Got a little bit showing there. As you can see, I've got this last piece. It may seem like forever when you're putting it together, but when you take a look at it, it comes out with a beautiful little effect here. And I see I've got a little extra piece of paper in there. So those are those extras. But now we have all of these berries that we can take a look at. I've got all my little scraps of paper here. Now you can glue those or use the pads for these as well. Grab these. I'm just going to grab these bigger ones. I'm going to use the pads just because it's easier to get them into place, so I can just, add them wherever I need. I'm going to grab a big one and then another one to go beside it, and maybe a little one. Hopefully the little one will fit one of these, just barely, but it'll give you the right idea. I could glue that one in place. So I'm just going to randomly put these around. I have 7 of them, but I'm going to try and probably keep them closer to the bottom part. I'm just going to make clusters where they are. Don't have to use them all. There we go. That's all the pieces that I have. Now, it is a matter of how you want to string this up. And of course, an easy way would be to have a cord that comes through, but you would have to come through here and glue it into place. So I am just going to cut a piece of cord here. My favorite thing here is to give it a little loop. And then, of course, we're going to glue it on here, and we can have this hang through because it looks so gorgeous when you do that. I could put it in behind. Use a fair amount because I want it to stay in place. And I usually use the strings and leave the knot just above. You can trim it up later if you want to. Now I use this spotted paper, so what I can do is I can just take a piece of the spotted paper that we had and I can just cut a strip. And just add it over top just for an extra bit of security. And I can trim this up a little later. I just want it to glue into place. Might add some extra glue on the edges here. Now you could make your own little ribbon. You can do anything else if you want with it. But this is absolutely gorgeous because it has that 3D effect by using these little pads that we've got. We used the string and, of course, our digital papers. So this is our holly wreath. I hope you enjoyed making this one.